let's review. The line tracking sensors return values between 0 and 4095, where dark surfaces provide high values and light surfaces provide low values. For our robot to make decisions based on a surface, we need to calculate a threshold, splitting the wide range of values into just two categories, light and dark. In this lesson, you will learn how to calculate a threshold for your line tracking sensors. Before we move forward and calculate a threshold, there are a few things you should keep in mind. A VEX line tracking kit consists of 3 sensors, each with a small amount of variance. That means the dark and light values you find for the first sensor will be different from the second and third. The good news is, when your sensor has a range of 0 to 4095, a small amount of variance is generally negligible. For these lessons, we'll be using the SwerveBot robot model. The distance between the 2 wheels on SwerveBot is roughly half the distance of RecBot, making it much better equipped for tracking curved lines. RecBot can still be used for these lessons, but you may need to adjust your motor speeds to accommodate the wider base. Now, to calculate a threshold for the line tracking sensors, we need to know which values mean light and which values mean dark. We can use the sensor debug window to find out. Open Robot C and start a new program. Every program must have task main, but leave it empty since we don't want the robot to perform any behavior yet. Instead, go to Robot, Motors and Sensor Setup to configure the line tracking sensors. On the VEX 2.0 Analog Sensors tab, name Port 1 Line Tracker Left and set its sensor type to Line Follower. Name Port 2 Line Tracker Center and also set its sensor type to Line Follower. Finally, name Port 3 Line Tracker Right and set its sensor type to Line Follower. Press OK to apply your changes and close the window. Go to File, Save As, and save your program as Line Tracking Sensor Values. Make sure your robot is turned on and connected over VexNet or USB, and compile and download program. Press the Start button on the Program Debug window to run the empty program and initialize the sensors. With the line tracking sensors configured, we can use the Sensor Debug window to view their values. Go to Robot, Debug Windows, Sensors, if it isn't already open from a previous lesson. Now place the robot so that all 3 sensors are above the light-colored surface. The 3 values should all be relatively low and within a few hundred of each other. Record these values on a separate piece of paper. Don't worry if they fluctuate slightly while you record them. Now place the robot so that all 3 sensors are above the dark-colored line. The 3 values should all be much higher than the light-colored readings. Again, record these values on a separate piece of paper, and don't worry if they fluctuate slightly. Have all of your values recorded? Good. Now for the calculations. First, let's find the average of your light surface readings. Add the 3 values and divide by 3. Next, find the average of your dark line readings. Again, add the 3 values and divide by 3. Now the best threshold will be right in the middle of your average light value and your average dark value. To find the threshold, just take the average of these 2 values. Add the average light value to the average dark value and divide by 2. You now have a threshold value that will work for all 3 line tracking sensors. Write this value down for later use, and don't be surprised if it's different from the value calculated in this lesson. Your lighting conditions may be very different from ours. In this lesson, you found a threshold value for the line tracking sensors by performing calculations on the light and dark sensor values you found in the Sensor Debug window. In the next lesson, you will use your newly found threshold in a line tracking sample program.